Want to make your own? Let me tell you about Anchor. It's free. The creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Now, you can even add any song from Spotify directly into your episodes. The possibilities are endless for what you can create, whether it's music analysis, your own radio show, or something the world's never heard before. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Plus, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So guys, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Anchor is sponsoring another ad.
Guys, do you like this show and want to make your own? Let me tell you about Anchor. Anchor is free, and there's certain tools that allow you to record and edit right from your phone or computer. Best of all, with Anchor, you can add any songs from Spotify directly to your episodes.
And who doesn't like songs?
The possibilities are endless for what you can create, whether it's music analysis, your own radio show, a deep dive on your favorite genre or artist, or something the world's never heard before, like Ilya's name. Sorry. Anchor will even help publish your show to Spotify so you can reach hundreds of millions of listeners. Guys, if you have an idea for a show with music, get started by downloading the free Anchor app or going to anchor.fm. If you need inspiration, head over to blog.anchor.fm/music for some idea starters.
You want to go first?
Yeah. You have no idea how excited I was for this.
Good. I'm stoked, dude. Thanks for coming all the way out.
Would you be able to... We just need to put this
Yes.
a little closer. Yeah, I was so excited just because I know you have a show on Animal Planet. You've done so much with animals in the past, and I've always loved animals. So this is a dream come true for me.
Joe actually wants to be a animal videographer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That was
Why
always
didn't
my
you
plan.
tell me that? We'll just employ you.
We're going to Africa next week. That's what's so
go.
great. Have you always wanted to be on Animal Planet?
No. The short answer is no. I never planned on having anything to do with TV, period. I was a wildlife biologist, like an active wildlife biologist, working in the field, doing really crummy work because I was like a tech starting at the bottom. So I was like counting ants and, I did some cool stuff. I did some stuff with rattlesnakes and worked with foxes and stuff, but I just wanted to work with rare animals. I had zero interest in TV, especially where I grew up. I grew up in Africa. Like nobody where I'm from has ever even been on TV, let alone like, considered having their own show or something like that. But yeah, never even crossed my mind. Just thought I was going to work with wildlife, and then kind of got a lucky break, saw the opportunity with regards to how many people I could reach and influence on a television platform, and it just all took off.
Dang. Was your first show on TV Extinct or Alive?
No. So I'll give you the full spiel if you're interested.
Very interested.
All right. So I was a lowly wildlife biologist, right? I mean, I'd done some really cool stuff. I'd done some big animal work, some tagging, some tranquilizing, some pretty awesome stuff. But mostly I was making $14 an hour as a biology field tech, right? And what a tech is, it's like when you start working at a restaurant, you're the busboy. So the tech is like, it's even a step before like the busboy. Like, I mean, you start at the bottom and you're doing all the grunt work, like, hey, we have these super cool contracts where we do habitat restoration, where we're going to like save the California Channel Islands. It's like, awesome. How badass does that sound? We're going to fly around in a helicopter, do all this dope shit. But hey, you're the field tech, so you're going to actually just pick the invasive weeds while we do all the cool shit.
Right.
It's like, bummer. So I'd spend like 12 hours a day in the boiling hot sun in a hazmat suit with chemicals spraying invasive weeds, that kind of shit. And I worked my way up pretty quick from doing that to like, doing pretty awesome jobs. But I had, I just knew that I wanted to work with animals and try and save the world and do conservation. And so one day I came home, plopped down on the couch, and my girlfriend goes, look at this stupid show. And it's a show on TV called Naked and Afraid.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Weren't you on that?
Oh, just you wait. I'll feed you, baby bird. And it's a stupid-ass show called Naked and Afraid, right? And I watched like 15 minutes of it, and the show ends, and the credits come up. And my wife's like, you should do that. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I've seen you do all that shit, like, way better than those people who are, like, crying and whinging about it. And you just do it for fun. And I was like, yeah, it's true. And so I sent this like super cocky email to the production company, never even filled out a casting application, just this like super arrogant email where I was like, hey, the people on your show kind of suck. Like they're doing everything wrong. I can do it better, basically. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but that was more or less what it said. 10 days later, I was on a plane to Panama and go to Panama. I do this Naked and Afraid. And while I'm there, it's just, I'm a biologist, so I'm used to being out in the field. I'm used to shitty conditions, and it's so fucking easy. And I don't understand why everybody's crying and whinging. I'm just like, there's tons of food here if you know what you're looking at. Like, as a biologist, I could walk through the jungle and be like, hey, that's yucca. There's jungle potatoes right there if you dig them up, and get like 30 pounds of jungle potatoes. I'd be like, hey, look at the moon phase. There's a low tide coming tonight at 1 a.m. You go out at low tide and eat 400 oysters and like sit there going, I'm so full, I can't eat another oyster. And so the producers are like, God damn it, dude, like, you suck. Like, you're so happy and like you're smiling all the time, like you're never failing, like you're just like goofing off the whole time, like this is a big joke. I'm like, this is a big joke. And the producers are like, everybody's gonna hate you, like they're gonna think you're terrible, like they want to see like turmoil and struggle and like complaining, like, don't you hate your partner, don't you think this is hard? I'm like, no, my partner's fine. No, this isn't hard, what are you talking about? And anyway, get home, go back to work, back to the Channel Islands, making $14 an hour as a tech. And, you know, I got asked to move up a lot in that space. But as you move up in the sciences, that means you work in an office. I didn't want to work in the office. I want to work outside. And so I just kept being a tech. And 6 months, a year later, whatever it was, the show came out. Huge hit. Naked Afraid takes off. And not only was Naked Afraid a hit, I was a hit, because in a show that had done 2 or 3 seasons at that point, everybody was whinging and crying and stubbing their toe and bitching about it. And here's this like chubby kid with a smile ear to ear jumping around eating oysters. And it was like a huge hit. So just like everybody that does Naked and Afraid, I got my like 5 seconds of fame. It's not 5 minutes, you know, it's like 12 different local reporters contact you and that's it.
Right.
And so these like 12 different reporters contact me and they're like, hey, tell us about your time on Naked and Afraid for like the Santa Barbara Independent, you know, like some magazine that like 9 people read. And I was like, no thanks. And they're like, what do you mean no thanks? I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. That was just a vacation.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, what do you want to talk about? I was like, do you guys want to know about like the fact that we now have hammerheads at the California Channel Islands because it's an El Nino year, or when I caught the largest lobster in the state of California, or when I got bitten by a snake that put me in a coma, or, you know, some of these fucking things. And most of them were just like, nah, click. And like 4 different reporters of the, say, dozen that contacted me were like, sure, tell us about that. I guess we'll run that story and tie it all together. Those stories went viral. Millions and millions of views, picked up by like the Daily Mail, the New York Times, the press, like crazy kid catches 12-pound lobster, you know, man chased out of the water by hammerhead, like ridiculous, like over the top titles.
I feel like I've seen the lobster story.
Yeah, it was big.
I feel like I've heard about the hammerheads.
Yeah, they were big, big
Funny,
viral
yeah.
stories, man. And anyway, long story short, like I had all these people start contacting me and like being like, hey, we want to pitch a TV show with you. We want to pitch a TV show with you. And I looked at all these terrible, terrible TV shows and read them as a scientist and went, this isn't science. Like, this is bullshit. Like, I get it. It has to be entertaining, but this is nonsense. So instead of doing any of those shows, I just created my own. And then went out and pitched Extinct or Alive with a partner who, in fairness, he had the idea, not me. But we developed it together and went and pitched it. And after like a year of knocking on doors, we basically got an okay at Animal Planet, and that was like 7 years ago.
And you have 2 seasons of that?
2 seasons of that, 4 Shark Week specials, a show on History Channel, a show on Vice Network, a new show coming up to Discovery.
Dang.
Yeah, a whole lot of different shows in different fields. All not in different fields, all in wildlife and adventure, but in different platforms.
When you are pitching the show for Extinct or Alive, are you talking about all the animals that you want to try and discover and find, and like, how does that go about?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty funny. Like, have you guys ever seen The Lost City of Z or read that book?
Oh, yeah, I read the book.
Yeah.
I've literally only read 2 books in my life, and that's one.
It's great, right? So Lost City of Z is a story of the British explorer Percy Fitzpatrick going to look for the city of El Dorado, right? And there's a scene in the movie or in the book where he gets up in front of this room of guys, and there's, you know, it's old England. They're all in their stuffy smoking jackets with their you know, leather caps. And he's like, I'm going to find the lost city of Z. And everybody in the room's like, you're crazy! You're a lunatic! And so, like, when I first went and pitched, I'm going to go find extinct animals, it was exactly like that. It's like a room full of people being like, you're fucking insane! And I was like, oh, geez, thanks. And anyway, long story short, like, I somehow managed to talk myself and my 2 business partners managed to talk a couple executives at Animal Planet into thinking we could actually find some. And so, you know, my passion just for like, I'm sure it's there. Like, you just got to do this. Nobody's tried that. Like, nobody's gone this far into the jungle, blah, 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 came through. And they're like, all right, give it a shot. And, you know, at that time, I think Finding Bigfoot was their biggest show. Finding Bigfoot's never found a fucking Bigfoot. So they're like, yeah, what's another Finding Nothing show? And then sure enough, we started finding these things. And they were like, holy shit, like a finding show where they find stuff.
Yeah.
What are the animals that you had found?
The first one I found was right at the end of our first season. After like 2 weeks in Zanzibar, totally unexpectedly, we caught a picture of a leopard on trail camera. So we found a leopard that hadn't been seen in 30 years.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I walked into Joe's house the other day.
Yeah.
And I think this was a complate coincidence. You were watching that scene, and I was like,
Oh,
holy
yeah.
shit. You
And
were
I'm like
holy
screaming on the bus. Yeah.
Dude, it's such a moment.
Yeah.
That was very, very shocking. Like, very shocking.
You set out on these expeditions and you only give it, is it like 2 weeks you plan to be there?
Yeah, typically around 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
I know.
It's a very short window for trying to find an extinct animal, right?
Well, like the word extinct doesn't mean like hiding in a bush around the corner or hard to find, right? Extinct means like eradicated from the universe. So
Right.
it's yeah, you know, it's in the beginning it was kind of just like let's go tell a good story and do a good adventure and showcase like the cool environment and what's left. And then when we started finding them, it was like holy shit, like we have to spend 2 weeks. Like you ask my guys like that work on our crew, like we're like 17 18 hours a day straight every day for 2 weeks and then come home and just pass out for like 5 days of sleeping to catch up. It's tough, but yeah, it's a short window and we just grind through it.
Wow. What was the other animal?
Well, that was we're up to 8 now, so
Oh, yeah. Joe was telling me you have 8 extinct animals. You
yeah,
found.
eight
Wow.
animals that were lost to science that we've uncovered. So yeah, the leopard, and we found the Fernandina Island tortoise, which was like the big one because that's like we found a tortoise that had only one. It was basically as mythical as Bigfoot because only one other one had ever been found 114 years before.
Wow.
And this is in the Galapagos, which is like the crown jewel of conservation. So they're like, you're an idiot, you're never going to find it. And then we found it in 4 days. And that was like on the cover of like, or inside cover of like Forbes and Time. And that was a huge find.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like the new poster child of conservation, which was awesome, raised a bunch of money. And then, yeah, the list just goes on. We found a caiman. We found proof of a extinct primate called the Miller's grizzled langur. We found 4 different species of shark.
The wolf?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was I didn't count that because that was just a thermal signature. But
That's what I wanted to ask
Yeah,
you. Do
no.
you count that in your own books?
No, I don't. Unless it can be scientifically like proven and
With a
agreed
photo or
upon.
video actual capture?
Yeah, then it's you know, totally. Did we get like something that looked like a very large canine / a wolf on a thermal image? 100%. Do I think it was a wolf? Zero question. Do I count it as a find? No, because there's no. We haven't like rewritten the books. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What other animals do you think that you feel that are not extinct but are deemed as extinct right now?
I have a list of 1,600 animals that I think have been wrongfully declared extinct.
Out of those, what are the most known that you think would really surprise people?
The biggest one that everybody talks about that like there's even this guy recently who unfortunately it just seems like he's just like is a pretty big like boy who cried wolf, but he's like I got proof of a thylacine. And anyway, that's the animal that I think is that would change the world the most. So the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, was a large marsupial carnivore.
Oh yeah, they had like these really long snouts.
Exactly.
Right.
Stripes, big wide mouth.
Looks like a tiger dog.
Like a tiger, dog, kangaroo, wolf thing. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
super duper cool. And the thing is, they're probably extinct, but you know, there's a lot. So basically every single biological expedition that ever goes to Papua New Guinea pops up with like 4 new species. And thylacine roamed in Papua New Guinea, as far as we know, up to at least 4,000 years ago. So, you know, given how unexplored it is and how big it is and how much unique virgin habitat there is there, I think there's a pretty good chance that the thylacine's still up there, and that would just rock the world.
Dang.
And that species did not go extinct too long ago, right? It was like in the
70s. Yeah.
Oh wow! So it's like not long ago.
70s? No, wait, that's not
The
right.
30s,
30s.
right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's
I'm sorry.
videos
Why
on
did I say
YouTube.
70s,
Still-
30s. I'm
Still
sorry.
not too long ago.
Yeah, there was a recent thing that came out, a recent publication that came out that said thylacine were likely here until the 70s, and but regardless, the last known thylacine died in the Hobart Zoo in Tasmania in the early 30s. It was an animal named Benjamin, and there's footage of it. There's actual film of that animal kind of pacing back and forth, grainy black and white footage.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking really cool to find one of those.
Yeah, it would be. But yeah, I mean, but that's like the golden goose, you know. I think there's others like Oh man, there's a small species of duck in India called the pink-headed duck that I think is probably still extant. There are numerous lizard species. There's a stingray species in the Gambia that I think is definitely still around. Like there's a lot. The thing is, when you declare something extinct, it's typically a group of guys sitting around just like we are, except probably a lot more credible than we are, that, you know, like they look at some papers, they look at some research, they talk to people in country, and they're like, who's seen it, when has it been published, blah blah blah. Oh, nobody, extinct label, you know. And so it's like, that's cool and all, but once you give something that label, like all funding and all caring and conservation efforts just dry up. And while the IUCN, the governing body that gives everything the labels, is a fantastic organization, and I'm not trying to disparage them in any way. Just like everything, people make mistakes, right? And those mistakes could cost the existence of a species. So all we're trying to do is check.
Right.
Yeah.
I have 2 follow-up questions then. First, how many total species are there on Earth?
Oh, millions. I mean, we find new species all the time. Species are going extinct at a rate of 2,000 per year.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
Is
so
that's true. That's pretty crazy.
How many species are there on Earth? I'd have to Google that. I think it's got to be, might even be in the billions. That's a good question. I'm going to Google it.
Wow.
8.7 million species, according to Google.
Wow.
I can name about 8.6 of them, but no big deal. Just kidding.
You mentioned earlier that you got bit by a venomous snake and you were in a coma.
Sort of. I got tagged by a snake and passed out from it. I wasn't really in a coma and woke up not where I fell asleep, basically.
Dang, what snake?
It was when I was a kid. It was a snake called a night adder, which I was playing with, you know, totally self-inflicted like an idiot. And
Playing with.
Yeah. And yeah, I got bitten. I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good. Tore. I was on our farm in Zimbabwe where I grew up. Jumped on my little motorcycle. Circled the bite on my arm because I had my little notepad and pen like a dork, like I always do, and circled the bite on my arm and wrote the name of the animal down. Started racing back as fast as I could to the house to get my mom, and literally I just kind of remember my vision tunneling, and then I passed out. And apparently I passed out right by like the compound where our workers lived, and they saw me just eat shit on the motorcycle, like roll over, and they thought I'd like hurt myself from the motorcycle, but the truth was I'd just fallen asleep, like from the venom. And my mom, they ran me up to my mom. My mom took me to the hospital, and they saw where I'd circled and what I'd written. I think they just gave me fluids. I don't even think it was an anti-venom thing. I was just so little that it was, you know, I was like 8 years old or 10 years old.
That's like really quick thinking, you know, to be able to circle where the bite is, write down what type of snake it is. That's really smart.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just
I'd be like, what the fuck do I do? You know, I have
Yeah.
no idea what bit me. I know where I got bit, you know, but
yeah. No, I don't know what made me do it, but I just thought it was the right thing to do. And yeah, it all worked out. I woke up with a bad headache like 24 hours later, and that was kind of it.
wow.
Could that have killed you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
what? He just didn't give you that much venom?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a snake that would kill an adult man typically, you know, but as a young kid, it was enough venom that, you know, it could kind of go either way. Jeez. But yeah, I was fine. I got treated.
Have you ever had any other close encounters with other animals like bears or tigers or?
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah? What was it?
Oh, dude. I mean, that's from a shark bite. I've been in 2 plane crashes. I've been mauled by a lion, stung by a stingray.
Oh my god.
Man-of-war jellyfish.
Did you get peed on?
I peed on myself a couple times from it. No, yeah, I've had a lot of occupational hazard.
Jeez. Were they most of them on camera?
No, a few of them. This shark bite was on camera. That was my second shark bite.
Shark Week 2018.
No, that was for my Extinct or Alive show, actually. Yeah, I've had a lot. I've had a lot of run-ins. Stuff with crocs, very close calls with crocodiles, stuff with hippos. Yeah, I mean, you know, but it's not the animal's fault. It's my fault. Like, I'm the one going in their habitat and environment, you know, to do stupid shit. So it's it's occupational hazard.
Dang. What was the scariest one?
Scariest? Probably anything to do with hippos, because there's just no control in those situations. Like sharks, like every time a shark's tried to eat me, I had a shark try and eat me last week while I was out filming a Shark Week show.
Same.
It's just like, that's, you know, like you kind of know what to do, and like, you know, your body language and how to react or whatever, you can push them off. You can't decide what to do in the case of a hippo. Like, they're in control. And so I've had 2 times, one where a hippo came out of the water. It was like wallowing in this small pan, which is like a vernal pool, and came over this hill, and we were right on the game trail, and the hippo came charging right at us, and I pushed my girlfriend behind a termite mound, and I dove out the way as it came. Its mouth was open. I felt its breath on me. It was so close. So that was pretty close. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then I had another time where a hippo flipped over my canoe at like top speed, and that was pretty close too. So both those times were probably the scariest. I just fucking hate. I love hippos. I have mad respect for them, but they're just so scary. People think they're like cute Fantasia, like pink water pigs. They're like terrible death machines that are really scary.
Wow. I've heard that not every, even if a snake is poisonous, I've heard that not every snake bite, I've heard that not every snake injects the venom in you when it bites you. Is that true?
Yeah, well, you can get something called a dry bite, which is where a snake bites you without releasing venom. I mean, it's not really a conscious decision by the snake. It's more like, how much venom do they have stored? Did they just eat something that they used to use its venom? You know, was it such a rapid bite that it didn't really inject? It was more just like a quick bite and just got the tip in. I mean, there's quite a lot of variables that go into it. But yeah, there are instances where you can get a dry bite from a venomous snake, and there are instances where, you know, you can get bitten by a mildly venomous snake and have a terrible allergic reaction and die. So you just don't know.
What's the like percentage, I guess, between a venomous bite or just a strike with no venom?
Oh, dry bites are not common.
Not
I don't know what the actual percentage is. Somebody's probably going to listen to this and be like, you're full of shit. But I would guess it's probably like 15-20%
of dry bite
are dry bite. The rest would be toxic bites. Yeah.
Damn.
It may be less. I mean, it's not a common thing, right? Like if you got a tool, you're going to use it, right? As an animal, if you're biting because you're feeling threatened or defensive. You're not gonna hold back if you think you're fighting for your life. So dry bites aren't super common.
Do you milk snakes?
I have. It's not something I do regularly. I used to do rattlesnake anti-venom collection. So we go out into the field and round up tons of rattlesnakes, and you know, you put the little have the jar with the cover over it, and you'd get them to bite it, and that'd be that.
Going back to when you were in Panama,
yeah,
and you said that you obviously hunted for your own food. I don't know where, but somewhere I read that you were a spearfishing champion.
Yeah, there's one of my world records is right up there on the wall next to that tail. I've got 6 of them now. So yeah, I used to. So it's just like anything, right? It's like there's any individual sport. There's a bunch of different leagues. So I like free dive spearfishing with a primitive, basically a stick with a rubber band on the back of it. I guess I'd most likely equate it to like bow hunting. But it's like bow hunting with a spear, like a throw spear. I mean, it's very, very primitive style of hunting. Anyway, because it's so primitive, it's pretty hard to do. It's hard to get a big fish. Like, you know, most people get like a 2-pound fish. And I've got some very large fish on the pole spear. So in my younger years, I racked up like 6 world records doing that. And yeah, I don't really hunt big fish very much anymore. I still spearfish a lot, but mostly just for protein now.
What's that scene out of what the fuck is that movie called?
Titanoboa?
No. No, with
Sharknado?
No. With the guy gets. Oh my god!
Castaway.
Oh, Deep Blue Sea.
Castaway. Yes.
I got you.
Yes, he read my mind. Fuck you, Joe. It's like that scene where he throws a spear into the water, right?
Yep.
Wow.
The fish sticks up. I mean, it's like similar to that, except I do the free dive version. So I'm in the water with a mask and snorkel and fins, and then stabbing fish, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
That's
fun,
crazy. What's the biggest fish that you've speared? Like how many? What's the fish and how many pounds? I guess, or what's?
I've shot my biggest fish to date was 165-pound yellowfin tuna.
Wow.
Yeah. Big,
Damn.
See that big blue tail up there? That's
Yeah.
the tail off the fish.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
man. That's a big ass fish.
Yeah,
165 pounds. You said.
Yeah, dragged me around for about an hour 45 before I landed it.
Wait, you spear it and then you
gotta hang
around?
on. Yeah, you gotta hang on. Otherwise you
gotta
lose the fish. Yeah.
What if it takes you deep down?
They do. So on that, you have like a float system. So you got floats on the surface, and then you got like a cord running to the spear, so you can let go and fight it on the line and stuff. But yeah, no, it's quite a to do.
Holy shit! Wait, so do you have scuba diving gear, or is it just
No,
snorkeling?
free dive, just holding your breath.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't do this. Some people spearfish on scuba. I think it's cheating.
Right. Right. Oh wow, that's good. Do you scuba dive too?
Oh yeah,
obviously.
Yeah. We do. I'm a dive master, so I actually, when I was still trying to figure out what I was gonna do with my life, I got my captain's license and my dive master, and so I go out on rich people's yachts basically and teach them to scuba dive, and that was my job for a few years.
Yeah, I scuba dived. I got my license in the Dominican Republic.
Nice.
It was terrible though not because of scuba diving, but because I get seasick.
Oh yeah.
Really fucking easy, and the waves were massive, and so like I don't know 100 meters down, or whatever.
I doubt you were 100 meters down, but
maybe 100 feet.
100 feet, maybe.
Probably
100 meters is 300 feet. Yeah, that's a one-way trip.
Yeah. And, yeah, it was fucking crazy. I felt so sick at the bottom of the ocean.
That sucks. Did you puke into your regulator?
I had to tell my instructor that I have to go all the way up.
Oh yeah.
And puke. Yeah.
Yep, that's brutal.
It was fucking brutal, dude.
Oh man, you would not like the shoot we just did. We just spent 10 days. We rented a pretty big boat, 115-foot boat, and went to the Revillagigedos Islands, which took me about 3 weeks to learn how to say. And it's this group of 4 tiny volcanic islands, like 300 miles offshore from Mexico. We just spent 10 days out there doing a Shark Week show last week. Just got back the day I texted you, Joe.
Oh yeah. Wow, is that coming out this Shark Week?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
In August, we're in post on that now, but that was all scuba diving. It was a lot of deep water diving.
What's the deepest you've gone?
I've gone deeper on free dive than I have on scuba.
Wow. Your ears don't like fucking kill you? And,
no, you learn how to clear your ears. So I've done a free dive on a sled to 200.
Holy shit.
So you just go straight down to 200 feet and then basically straight back
What about
up.
your lungs?
They get really small under all that pressure. Everything compresses. Yeah.
Don't you have to like breathe out that deep underwater? Or?
No. So with scuba diving, you're putting air into your lungs, right? So you're expanding them. So if you hold your breath at 200 feet with a breath full of air from a scuba tank and go up, as that air expands, your lungs will explode. But in free diving, you take your breath of air at the surface, which is your neutral point. Then you go down and your lungs compress with the air, and as you come back up, it only expands back to neutral.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't overexpand and blow out your lungs.
Oh, okay. I never understood how free divers do it. I was like, how the fuck are they 200 feet down? And
yeah,
their lungs
everything
aren't exploding?
compresses. You get shorter, everything. Your whole body compresses, and you get smaller under that pressure. And then as you come back, everything gets bigger.
So how
it's
long,
a very weird feeling.
How long can you hold your breath underwater?
Static, meaning like face down in a pool, not kicking around, a little over 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. But I trained for it for years, right? It's like, not to compare myself to someone like this, but it's like asking Arnold Schwarzenegger how much can he curl, right? It's like, well, yeah, of course he can curl that much because all he does in the gym, 6 hours a day is curl. And for a lot of years, I would train at freediving a lot. So my lungs are, it's like a muscle. They're used to it.
Wow, that's interesting. How long can you hold your breath?
I think 25 seconds.
No, I guarantee you guys could do a 3-minute breath hold if someone taught you how.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. How many countries have you been to in total?
Last time I counted, which was a couple years ago, it was in the high 60s.
Has there ever been any food that you've passed on that you just couldn't stomach?
There's been plenty I couldn't stomach. There's never been any I haven't tried.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, I love trying new cuisine everywhere I go. Oh my god, dude, I've had I don't know how graphic you want this podcast.
Please.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, dude. I mean, I've eaten some weird, like, jellyfish salad in Taiwan and, like, some really gross stuff. But it's never that stuff that, like, it's super unappealing, right? Like, if you wake up, like, imagine being one of us, like, a guy from the United States, and you go down to breakfast, and you get a cup of, like, disgusting tarry coffee and a bowl of jellyfish for breakfast. Like, that's breakfast on one of our shoots in Taiwan. And you're just, like, this bowl of goop that tastes like the ocean snot. Like,
do they boil it?
I don't know how it's cooked, to be quite honest. It's awful.
Wow.
But like that stuff, although it's hard to stomach, you eat it, and I've never had a problem with. Whereas like the last time I was in Madagascar, we had pretty normal food by it was like meat and chicken and fish, like normal food as far as the palate goes. And then something ran through our crew where we were literally, I'm not going to name names, but of our 6-person crew, 4 of them shit the bed. And
wow.
I myself was like, you're not going to get me down. I'm too tough for this. And halfway through a 12-mile hike, I literally lay down on the trail in the fetal position with my pants around my ankles and came out both ends in 120-degree heat, basically,
Oh my
just
God.
laying there crying in a pile. Like, everybody got hit super bad. And so you just never know, man. You just eat it. Try not to ask questions. Like, we've eaten rat on shoots. I mean, you name it. It's been bad. It's fun, though.
This is kind of off topic, but you know that scene from Shrek where they're eating rat?
No.
The very first Shrek? You know what I'm talking about?
Is he roasting it on
Yes.
the spit? I
like,
do
that
remember
fucking
that.
looks good. I'm just saying. Was it good or no?
So we're in Myanmar, and
I thought you were going to say Miami.
probably juicier rats in Miami, but we're in Myanmar, and we're on like day 4 of our shoot, and there's no refrigeration. Like, we're just living in this campsite in the middle of the swamp, and somehow we're getting meat every day, and nobody's asked any questions. Now, fish would make sense. You're in a swamp, right? No, but we're getting red meat. So day like 3 comes by, and we're all like sitting where I think we're around a laptop looking at footage of crocodiles or something that we've shot. And my fixer comes by, and his name's Somo, and he goes, Mr. Forrest. And he's a super soft-spoken Myanmar guy. And I'm like, yes, Somo. He's like, you guys want more rat or enough rat? And my crew is like, what? And I was like, excuse me, Somo? He's like, oh, we have no more rat. I can go kill more rat. I was like, Somo, next time just don't ask. Just keep feeding us and don't ask.
Oh, wow. So, like, the portions must have been pretty big, right? Like,
It was like fried noodles with like little bits
I
of
gotcha,
ground
gotcha,
meat
gotcha.
in it and stuff. And, you know, it wasn't like it
That's
was a
good.
rat on a stick. So we had just been, you know, just completely obliviously eating this red meat in the noodles, thinking it was like steak.
I
It
mean,
was
I
not
guess
steak.
it's not that bad if you can't tell, right?
That's what I'm saying. And look, dude, I'd rather eat swamp rat from Myanmar than fucking New York City rat any day of the week.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of fun. We get to go to such cool places, and you just, you know, everyone's different. You never know. I mean, I rolled over a, you know, those like Razor, not like a Razor scooter, but like the ATVs, those big burly ones. I rolled one of those over on my buddy's camera like 2 weeks ago on our Shark Week shoot, and crashed that and destroyed the scooter, and everybody thought it was going to be super bad, and everybody popped out of it and was like, I'm good, are you good? Yeah, let's keep going. Like,
Yeah.
abandoned the scooter and just like kept on with the shoot. I mean, it's some funny shit that happens, man. It's fun.
What was the premise for the Shark Week stuff?
I'm not really allowed to talk about it, unfortunately, because Discovery owns everything, including my soul. But it's, you know, like, I'm always looking for anomalies and rare things, and this is a pretty cool adventure to look for a big shark that the world had misidentified. We'll just say that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a 1 hour special?
Yeah. I've got 2 of them this year coming out. One from Alaska that we filmed in June of last year, and then this one that we just wrapped up in Mexico a few days ago.
Oh, I know what it is. Megalodon.
Found it.
Oh, what do you think about that? You think there's megalodons?
No, definitely not. No. I mean, the ocean's big. You know, we just discovered a new species of whale. Like, I don't mean we as in my crew, but like the scientists just discovered a new species of whale like 8 weeks ago.
Right.
Alive or?
Alive.
Like,
Yeah. A big whale cruising around the ocean, you know, and it's taken us until now to find it. So are there giant animals in the ocean that are yet to be discovered or described? Zero question. You know, my grandfather discovered a coelacanth 666 million years after we thought it had gone extinct.
Oh, yeah. How do you find that?
In a fish market on a table, and he wasn't even a scientist or anything. He was just like, there's something up about that fish. I've never seen that fish before.
In South Africa?
He was in the Comores, actually. Yeah, but he flew it to South Africa and was like, what is this? And then scientists like freaked out. They're like, holy shit.
And it was just in a fish market?
Yeah, it was on a table for sale. He bought it for, you know, the equivalent of like $5 today, and was like, yeah.
And that was the only one there? Or there were a bunch of them?
A few. That was the only one there. There's one on the wall. That's the coelacanth's, that middle top fish there on the far right, scientific illustrations there. But there was, as far as I know, I actually don't. I mean, my grandfather's dead, so I don't remember the story in detail. I can't ask him any longer. But as far as I know, it was the only one on the table, and other people had actually found remnants of them, like rotten carcasses and a fin and stuff, but nobody really knew. And then he found like this whole one that was pretty fresh. Jeez. And that was like a pretty big deal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you watch Seaspiracy?
I have seen it, yeah.
Are you in it?
No, I know Ali, the producer director of it. I'm not in it. I know a bunch of people who are in it, Paul DeGelder and people like that. But No, I'm not. I'm not in it. I have watched it. I found it pretty entertaining. I liked it. Yeah.
You've been to that event that happens at the end, right?
The end with the grind where
No,
they kill
with
the
all-
whales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's funny, you know, like what was that show? Whale Wars spent like 2 years trying to get that. Like they sat
That
around
event?
the Faroe Islands trying to get that event, couldn't get it.
Why? Because they only have it however often.
You can only get it when the pilot whales are passing by the island. So,
Right.
and that you never know when that's going to be, right? It's like saying let's go get orcas here in Santa Barbara. It's like, you know, you can't go low. You just might get them one day, but you know, you never know when.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know Ali's story. I haven't asked him how he managed to get the grind. We were only there for our typical 2-week shoot, and the day we landed, there was a grind taking place. And I remember Mitch, who's like my right-hand man, he's our director of photography, turned to me. He's like, dude, we don't have to do this. Like, this has nothing to do with our story. Like, we're here to, you know, look for an extinct seabird. And I was like, what's the point, dude? Like, why come all the way here and stick your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening? And, like, look, you can see I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But, like, it fucked me up. It fucked everybody up. I've never seen anything so barbaric. Like, to see the bloodlust that these are nice people. Like, I love the Faroese people. They're wonderful people, super accommodating, super hospitable. But this whole, like, thin veil of cultural tradition and murdering these animals, like this crazy bloodlust that people go into, and they run down there with fucking pitchforks and machetes, and they're just fucking hacking these animals to parts, and the whales are crying. It's brutal. It was one of the hardest things I've ever seen.
What's the purpose? Why do they do it? Just because it's tradition?
I mean, for food. But,
Oh, it's for food. It's
yeah,
like, okay.
but, you know, the Faroe Islands are one of the wealthiest nations in the world. Like, they have a surplus of income to the point that they pay their citizens because they, like, the opposite of taxes. They're like, here, take money. We have so much. And, like I said, the thin veil of cultural tradition is that they used to need that because the Faroe Islands are a stark, bleak bit of islands in the North Atlantic. But now they have the hottest sushi restaurants and more sheep than they do people and cattle, and, you know, like, there's no poverty or hunger. So it's a tradition that, you know, should die, in my opinion.
How many whales do you think are killed in that event?
Annually? Well, when we were there, I think it was 82. Every single animal in the pod was killed.
Wow.
Yeah, mothers, calves, adults, subadults, everything.
Doesn't that hurt the population?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, there's a problem with, you know, look, we're in my office right now, right? What's the population of turtles in my office?
12.
Right there. You look in the tank, you go, that many. And when it comes down to the ocean, it's really hard to do that because it's such a big space. So the reason I say all that is with pilot whales, we are data deficient, meaning we don't know the answer because they're transient animals that travel, you know, thousands and thousands of miles, and it's impossible to know how many there are and where they all are and whether their population is safe or sustainable. But, you know, speaking anecdotally, it's like they're an apex predator, right? They're a whale at the top of the food chain or very near to the top of the food chain. So you can't afford to take a lot of them out. So when you take out an entire genetic pool, an entire family group like that, that's detrimental to the overall effect. You can't just... It'd be one thing if it was like it was, you know, 200 years ago where the entire Faroese Islands got together in their canoes and rowed for 2 days and broke one animal off for the pod and cut it up and divided it. But now they're all out there in their $1 million yachts with sonar and, you know, walkie-talkies, and they drive the entire pod into the bay and kill every...
Fun.
It's not the same thing, you know. It's not the same thing. So yeah, long story short, we don't really know how much damage it does to the pilot whale population, but the odds are it's not doing anything good.
Wow.
You mentioned you're going to Africa next week?
Yeah.
What are
I
you doing
take off
there?
on Friday. Again, it's like one of those discovery things where I have to tiptoe around everything. But
Yeah.
what I can say is I've got a new show coming up to Discovery Plus. And the premise of this is basically resolving conflicts and solving mysteries. And this one is a big one. So the whole reason I did this Discovery Channel show is because about 3 months ago, I was in contact with the Mozambique government, and the Mozambique government said, hey, there is a rogue herd of, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I'll say it anyway, elephants that is killing people. Like, they escaped from this national park, they've been terrorized by, like, dogs and villagers, and they're running through villages and flattening people and killing crops. We're going to shoot them all. I'm like, well, don't do that. I'll come and get them.
Right.
So it took a long time to get all the funding and deal with vaccinations and government restrictions and protocol, and the government has been very generous in Mozambique in holding off and not killing them. And so, next week I go and have to go catch a bunch of elephants and move them.
Do you need an extra camera guy?
Always, dude.
Oh my God.
Always. We're always shorthanded.
Now's your shot.
Wow. Fuck. We talked about what you didn't eat before. What you've eaten: scorpions, crickets, snakes, sharks.
All of it.
Anything like crazy? Jellyfish is pretty bizarre.
Jellyfish is the one that really comes to mind because it was pretty disgusting.
It just tasted bad.
It tasted like a bowl of rotten fish jello. Like, it was just nasty. Let's see. Anything really, really weird that I've eaten? I've eaten mole. Like, the little ground rodent.
Little moles.
Pretty gross. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, I try not to eat things like shark and things like that. They're just terrible for the environment. But, and when I say try not to, like, we really, really don't because they're not often available. But, for us, it's like food is often secondary. Like, when we did our expedition in the Amazon, like, yeah, we had a bunch of cans of food and bushels of bananas and things like that. But we were eating piranha every day that we were catching out of the river.
Were they good?
Oh, yeah. Piranha's great. Dang. I mean, the thing is, day 1, a boiled piranha for breakfast is fucking awesome. Day 15, a boiled piranha for breakfast, you could really use a yogurt and a cup of coffee.
Right.
That's funny.
Well, Forrest, thanks so much for giving us the time.
Yeah, man.
Dude, thank you guys for coming up and hanging out. It's nice to have you up here in Santa Barbara. I'm sure it's nice to get out of LA.
Oh, my God. It was great.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put Ilya back in the...
In the cage.
There you go.
What was he boxing?
Oh, the turkeys? The wild turkeys?
Turkeys were attacking Ilya before.
And guys,
cool.
if you think turkeys are small, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah, they're terrifying. They're velociraptors.
Cool. So check out Forrest's Shark Week show coming out July?
August this year.
August.
Yep.
Cool. And then the Discovery show coming out...
I don't know, to be honest. Later this year, as soon as we get done filming it, I guess.
We'll keep you updated, but thanks again. And check out your podcast.
Yes, that'd be awesome. The Wild Times podcast. It's on YouTube and Spotify and all those places, and I'll have to have you guys on the show.
Yeah, it's a
Hell
good
yeah.
name.
The Wild
It's a
Times.
good name, yeah. Wild
Yeah.
Times.
That's
Fun.
it. Cool. Thanks, Forrest.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Bye. Lightweights.
Out.